Will getting a higher degree really help you? This is for Black women in toxic jobs. I recently came across a really good post from Dr. Tiffany Bowden, who was one of my previous guests on my YouTube channel. And in her post, she talked about that she had sent out 50 resumes with her PhD and master's degrees on the resumes and 50 without. And she found that she got more response from those times that she did not have her higher degrees on there. So I wanted to talk about this because I know that many of us have had conversations about toxic workplaces and also we've talked about Black excellence sometimes. I know Stephanie Perry, Alicia Renese, Glamazzini have talked about Black excellence and how the notion of Black excellence won't necessarily save you. So I want to talk a little bit about that because I think there might be some nuance with that. I think that in some situations, Black excellence may serve us in terms of people respecting what we bring to the table. Again, we will probably not even be hired if we did not, or not probably even overqualified for the job. I wanted to mention this though. When we think about Black excellence, part of Black excellence is telling you to get all these degrees, do all these things, check all these boxes so that you can get a high paying job and all these things. I do want to say something with that. Now, I appreciate that I do have a PhD. However, there is a cost to that as well. And I don't know if people talk about it enough. The cost is, even though you have a higher degree, you may encounter, if this is you, you have a higher degree, and you may notice in the workplace that as opposed to people valuing what you bring to the table, valuing your education, your expertise, all those things, you may encounter just the opposite. Sometimes what I've seen, and I've definitely experienced it as I've gone further up in terms of my educational attainment, the further I've gone up, the more negative treatment that I've gotten in the workplace. So when you get the higher degree, sometimes there might be people within the workplace who are so insecure and so threatened that they will not, see what you bring to the table. If anything, they were to work harder to try to put you in your place, right? Put you in your place. And so it's kind of like, many times I talk about jobs as like plantations because many of them operate like plantations. And so it's almost like that same mentality of being the uppity, or, when they used to say that we were getting out of our place. A lot of times at these toxic jobs, when you have the higher degree, a higher level of experience, you may encounter situations where people are trying to put you in your place. Okay. And this is not really your right place. This is where they think that you belong based upon their own stereotypes, their own insecurities, their own projected incompetence. And so I wanted to take a moment to talk about it because, again, when I got my degree, I didn't have like overly idealistic views about how the workplace would be. However, I was not expecting the degree of pushback and disrespect that I've received in the workplace, which is often like an over the top attempt to minimize your degree or minimize your experience. I've encountered that. And so I would have loved if someone would have warned me or just pull me aside and say, hey, sis, that's great. You got your PhD, you got license, that's great. I also want to let you know about this. Okay. So I want to have a conversation about this for any Black women. If you're coming into the workplace and you've worked really hard to get your degrees and your experience and all these different things, I also want to let you know that as you come into the workplace, or let's say you're in the workplace and you went back to school, you got a higher degree, just be aware that sometimes people might be very threatened about that. And they may do things to sabotage you, to try to put you in your place, right? Or these little, I wouldn't even call them little, these slights that they do. Okay. So I want to share with you some slights that I encountered. And they were like, you know, kind of like, yeah, you think this, well, I'm not going to even acknowledge you kind of thing. This is petty stuff, okay? I want you to see how it is because these little digs kind of add up, okay? Now, they pale in comparison to the other crazy stuff that they were doing to me at that toxic job. But again, I want us to recognize that sometimes we are in situations that are difficult. As Black women, as Black people, we have had to work really hard to get anything. So, what may happen is that you may start receiving negative treatment and you may think, oh, well, maybe I need to get another degree. Maybe I need to get another certification. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do that, in terms of feeling that you need to get more of these things so that other people will respect you or promote you or appreciate what you bring to the table. And so I'm just thinking about other videos that I've seen by Marissa Price and Colette Elizabeth, that one more degree is really not going to help you. In fact, it may actually put you in a position of getting even more backlash and pushback. Okay. And I'm thinking about this book. I don't know if you've ever read it. I think it was called White Rage. Really good. I'll put the book and the link in the description section. Really good. And so when I talk about this, again, I'm not just talking about white people. I'm talking about any people who engage in white supremacist behaviors. So in terms of what I have experienced, what I've heard other Black women talk about is not acknowledging the degree, not acknowledging what you have gone through. I remember that toxic job, the workplace bully. So again, I work for the second largest school district, no longer, but I used to. And I was the only clinical psychologist in the district by the time I left. There was only two of us. And then that person left. The person who brought me in actually left. And then I was the only one. She never, in the whole time I was there for about 13 years, this woman never acknowledged that I had a doctorate. She never acknowledged it ever. Okay. And so that was the one thing. The other thing is that I was recognized for being the district crisis team member of the year. And there was a ceremony. There were others of us who were being acknowledged. This woman, okay, so she's head of the unit where I'm so-called getting this award from, didn't even congratulate me, didn't even nothing, okay? And then when I was giving my speech in front of everyone, one of the people, the men who does not look like us, and I talked about him before, but the whole time I was giving my speech, he kept his back to me the whole time. So again, you may have these encounters where people are conveying to you that they don't respect you, okay? And then I had another situation with another man who does not look like us, and he said really loud, okay? So again, I'm the only clinical psychologist in the district, and then the only clinical psychologist in my unit. So everybody else there, mostly there, were social workers, and then we had a few psychiatrists. So this person, who was a social worker, said very loudly that PhDs were very arrogant. And he said it loud enough for me to hear. So again, just those little slights, okay? And also for you to recognize, no matter what your higher degree is, that it might look a little different, but the main thing that I want you to hear is that there's these patterns in which people engage in this behavior where ultimately they're trying to discredit you, they're trying to disrespect you, they're trying to show you, oh, you think you're all that, I'm gonna put you in your place. And Colette Elizabeth calls it organizational lynching. I call it psychological lynching, in the sense that things are happening in the workplace where people are doing things to get in your head and make you think that you're not worthy, even though many times you're probably overqualified than they are, okay? So they're getting in your head, messing with your head, and then they're doing things to try to humiliate you in front of other people. And they do that not only to put you in your place, but also for other people to see you and to control other people. Because other people will see what is happening to you and they say, oh, I don't want that happening to me, so I'm just going to stay in my place, okay? So it's a way to control people. So I wanted to, again, talk about this. I don't think we talk about it enough. And in fact, I would love to do a video with other Black women, you know, PhDs, MDs, all Black women who've had these higher degrees, and talk about what is some of the backlash that you have encountered in the workplace? I would love to do a panel about that because, again, we're told as Black women, work twice as hard to get half as much, and we are doing it. Like, we are working, we are getting degrees. We know that Black women are the most educated in the nation, okay? So when I go back, again, to how I started, will getting a higher degree really help you? I think it depends. I think it depends on your workplace. I think it depends on who you're working with. If people are deeply insecure, probably not. If they're deeply insecure, you're probably going to get some type of backlash. And my hope of having a conversation about this is that at least you are aware of what you may encounter. And if you are aware of it, then you're more likely to say, oh, that's what that is. That's what that is. Okay, I can spot that. That's what that is. Okay. And then I just want to just talk to Black women who are coming up in terms of if you're in graduate school, you're in medical school, you're in law school. I just want to just let you know that this may happen. I just have one quick story for you really quick before I end. So one time I was going to a conference. It was a conference for African American mental health within Los Angeles. And I went because, you know, I'm a psychologist and I love to talk about mental health, particularly about Black people. So I go to this conference, and when I walk into the room, you go into a room to get your continuing education credits. So it has all the different mental health fields up on the wall, like, you know, social workers, marriage and family therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists. So I see the posting. So I go to the area for psychologists because you have to check in and check out to get your continuing education credits. So I go up, and there's someone who's kind of like, you know, at the table, you know, watching you sign in and out. This person didn't look like us. And so he says, this is for psychologists. And I said, I know, I'm a psychologist. He said it 2 more times out of really disbelief. Like, you cannot be a psychologist, right? 2 more times. So I'm trying to like just hurry up, sign in, because I need to go, you know, to the conference. So I was a little annoyed, but I'm like, whatever, he's just ignorant, whatever, right? So at the end of the day, I come back to sign out so I can, you know, get credit for my continuing education credits. There was a woman there who didn't look like us. She did the same thing. She asked me 3 different times if I was a psychologist, because it was just inconceivable that I could be a psychologist at an African American mental health conference. Okay, so just the ridiculousness that you may encounter, even when you get the higher degree. Okay, now I did end up reporting them. Okay, but in the moment, you might experience this like, what is going on here? Okay, and it was just like almost this insinuation that I was a liar, I was a fraud, I couldn't read. Who knows? Okay, but if this happens to you, report these people, because that's messed up. They're doing this. But also be mindful. Don't internalize that craziness, that pushback. Recognize the pushback for what it is. That is their insecurities. Those are their insecurities. That is them in terms of their own stereotypes. That is them attempting to so-called put you in your place. But I want you to know, Black woman, they can never put you in your place because they're not even at your level. Okay, so just remember that. They can never put you in your place because they can't even come close to where you are and where you're going. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, so as I'm signing off, please give this video a thumbs up. And also, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. It's free. Okay, so Lifting As We Climb Consulting, Wellness Services. As I am healing and as I'm sharing things that are being downloaded to me, my hope is that I'm helping to support your healing, that I'm helping to support you self-reflecting and getting yourself ready if you're in a toxic job to get out. Because the longer you stay there, the more harmful it's going to be. And that toxicity starts coming into your system. And I don't want that for you. Okay. So if you are ready, you're getting ready to leave a toxic job, you're stuck, you need some help, book a discovery call with me and we can talk about what's going on at your job and talk about your exit plan so you can get out. Okay, you can get out. So I want to let you know that you can get out and life is so much better once you leave. Okay, so I'm signing off again. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. It is completely free. And then share this video with at least 2 other Black women. Okay, signing off. Take care. Bye bye.